Professor Swaran Singh, Center for International Politics, JNU, joins me. Ambassador Veena Sikri will also be joining me. Sir, how different is this BRICS from the previous one, and how do you interpret the absence of Xi Jinping and Putin and our challenge there, sir?
Clearly, absence of President Xi Jinping and President Putin would bring greater anticipation from leaders of India, Brazil and South Africa, I assume, which are still the three of the original five members of BRICS. So there will be certain expectation of these three leaders coordinating and ensuring a strong joint statement coming. And I understand that particularly in the backdrop of recent Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting of defense ministers, this BRICS joint statement is likely to have a very strong expression against terrorism, and mention of Pahalgam, I'm sure, is going to be showcasing the global solidarity and sympathy and endorsement of India's Operation Sindoor in BRICS in Rio de Janeiro. Next year, India is going to be hosting the BRICS. So in that sense, there will also be certain attention on how India wants to take forward from here. But we understand that this particular summit will also have a certain focus on whether to continue with the expansion that started in Johannesburg in 2023, went forward in 2024 in Kazan in Russia. Apparently, I think we already have now 10 members. And so this summit will also see two things happening. One, whether to take a call on what to do with other aspirant nations who also want to join either as partner countries or as members. And more important, perhaps to also socialize the new five members into the very philosophy and architecture of BRICS nations as to how they wish to build people-to-people constituencies to consolidate their cooperation, how they want to influence global governance in terms of trade and finance, and political and security relationship. And particularly intra-BRICS trade has really shown enormous increase, 56% growth in last 5 years. I think enormous change in that direction would also give a certain hope as to how they wish to become a major pillar in future global politics.
You spoke about Global South. Ambassador Sikri also referred to that. I was reading an editorial by M.K. Narayanan in the Hindu today. He had its own position, but he said that Global South did not rally with India in a particular context. So is Global South something, a vague constituency, or does it shape up for India's interest when we require them? Your thoughts on it, sir?
I think clearly there are other contenders to become leader or voice of Global South. India definitely is one of them, and I'm sure very visible among the contenders here, partly because of India's historical credentials of standing for non-aligned movement, which at that time was focused on security, and therefore kind of prophesied that India must steer clear from military alliances, and multi-alignment is the new avatar of that non-alignment, which is development-centric, which talks about building economic developmental partnerships in as many sectors with as many countries as possible. And therefore, the way India has been able to successfully host several Voice of Global South meetings and Indian Prime Minister's visits have reflected India's connect with the Global South. Will be visible in BRICS meeting as well, which has now 10 partner nations, which are mostly from Global South. If you look at countries like Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Nigeria, Thailand, Uganda, Vietnam, Uzbekistan, most of them are representative of Global South nations. So Indian Prime Minister will have one more chance to be face to face in conversation with these leaders. And the whole five-nation visit again is a reflection of India's focus on Global South. And Global South in any case has come to be a very important kind of a grouping to reckon with in terms of ensuring a more sustainable and balanced and inclusive development, which is the focus now. And in that sense, from original G7, mostly being the leading force in global governance to G20 and now inclusion of Global South in that is a good reflection. I think India has strong credentials, but I agree, India is not the only contender to speak for Global South.
Sophisticatedly put.